Hello everyone, my name is Decalink, the trained unprofessional, and I've been the trained unprofessional, speaking for the voices on my head, the trained unprofessional, and the squeak with the professional squeak, and the... Bye! I'm kidding.
And the spoof.
And the spoof who's currently trying to murder a panda. It's kind of vicious, to be honest with you. It's...
Oh, look, he loves it.
Yeah. He thinks he killed it, so now he's resting with his prey. I think we're raising a murderer. So on the last one, it didn't do the day transition, so I started to read it, even though, whatever. I believe this is the day where we're going to try to do Carl's birthday party. This is part of the Leo route. So let's start where we left off. I'm regretting not letting him know we're coming. You know, I'm regretting you not letting him coming. You fuck. This is where we're going to see... fucking, what is it, her name's Janice, I don't know, peeing on the road. That's when I see around, you know, we've seen this part, so I don't wanna live this again. Just asking, how was your hike with Jenna? Alright, wish you were there though. Yeah, me too. I might go again in a day or two if you'd like. Sure, why not? Oh, God. We're going to wind up not going because Leo's going to force us to whatever. I promised myself that wasn't an empty promise. Well, he's not in his room. Flynn's actually looking a little worried now. Maybe he went for a walk? Carl, walking? In this weather? Hell no. Does he have other friends? Maybe he went out somewhere. I don't think so. Well, let's do a quick sweep of the house. It's a big place. Flynn heads back upstairs, and Jenna Leo head for the downstairs. DJ looks around in the kitchen, then moves over to the living room, checking the couches. I decide to head out back. It's not just, if not to just get away from the others, since the things feel unusually tense and yada yada. I kind of skipped past it a little bit before. This is something that came up a little bit in the interim that wasn't, I don't remember if it was in the other ones. It was, we kept expressing sympathy for Leo. Like right now, while I felt for Leo, I could see where Flynn was coming from. It would have been a way better idea to warn Carl or just meet somewhere else. Leo just gets carried away a little when he has his heart set on something. Probably had the whole scene planned out in his head before we even got here. Mostly, I just feel really bad for him. He's been working really hard to make this trip interesting for all of us. I think it's our fault more than anything that it's not working out. Oh, there you go. That's... blame yourself for the abuse that you're getting from others. Flynn's a dick. Carl doesn't care. Jenna's also kind of being a dick. And TJ's always into stuff that none of us are. I'm just... boring. As I round the corner of the house, I'm surprised to see Flynn standing there. He must have come out the front door. Oh, hey, Flynn. I thought you went upstairs. Flynn doesn't seem surprised at all to find me out here, which makes me think he was looking for me. I did. Wasn't there, so I thought I'd look outside. Oh, well, he's not in the back, so... I don't know why, but Flynn is making me feel awkward as hell. Is something wrong? Flynn folds his arms and leans up against the house. Well, Carl's missing, so I guess that's a problem, huh? Yeah. Try to think of something to say. Well, I'm sure he's just hiding somewhere. Maybe he's out at the diner. Probably just got tired of being stuck in his own house. Yeah... He straightens up again and steps forward, and I don't know why, but I take a step back. You were hanging out with Leo yesterday, right? Yeah, for a little while. You spent the night there? I pause for a second to give them the hint that I'm not exactly okay with him prying like this, but I answer anyway. No, I got back to the motel at like 3. Yeah. So I turn back around. Hey, why don't we check the basement, Chase? He's got the same tone as a disappointed parent. That kind of pisses me off. Turn back around. What? You realize what you're doing is stupid, right? Excuse me? Getting back with him during fucking spring break. Pretty stupid, right? I had a feeling that's where this was going. And now that I know for sure, I'm definitely pissed off now. How is this any of your business? How's it not? You two seem pretty okay with making it our business, right? No. He sneers at me. Cuddling up at the lake where our friend died is pretty messed up, isn't it? What? I saw you two. You know I did. So what? What does that have to do with Sydney? I guess I just find it weird that you'd start up your old flame on what's practically a grave. What the hell are you talking about? Feelings changed from anger to bewilderment. I did know what he was talking about. I just didn't know why. Well, since it's all out in the open now, why not talk about it? You're the one that put it all out in the open. In the worst way possible, by the way. His sneer disappears. I just don't get why you're connecting those two things. We weren't even talking about Sydney. How? What else does that lake make you think of? I'm at a loss for words, totally confused. This is Flynn. I never talked about Sydney with him after it happened. I was too scared to. Well, I don't think of it as his grave or anything. Oh, really? It's just a fucking lake to you then, huh? He didn't die there, Flynn. It was in the hospital. It might as well have been there, right? I swallow hard, wanting desperately to go back inside. Let's not talk about this right now. Oh, I guess I was confused. Everyone's been telling me that I need to talk about it. Well, not like this. Not just with me here. We should all be together if we want to have this talk. I turn around again, making it clear that I'm leaving. Wait. That change of tone in his voice makes me turn around again. It's softer, almost pleading. I'm not used to hearing Flynn talk like this. I'm just trying to look out for you, Chase. He's not... I feel the same anger returning. He's not what? Well, he's not exactly a stable guy, is he? I laugh. And you are? He tips his head and I can tell he's embarrassed, even though he doesn't have the ears to tell me so. And not just you, all of us. We're all a little fucking crazy, aren't we? Flynn smiles a little bit. Well, that's what happens when you live in Echo. That's what all the kids at school said. Flynn frowns again. Listen, I'm just looking out for you. He's just... I sigh loudly and cover my face with a paw for a second. Ugh! I was hoping I'd be able to change the subject, but now we're back to Leo. I'm surprised when I lower my paw and Flynn is just a few feet away. Flynn, just drop it. It's none of your business. His gaze hardens. I think it is when I see a friend taking advantage of another friend. Taking advantage of me? Yeah. Has been since you were fucking 15. I immediately know what he's implying. Fuck off, Flynn. You're acting like my fucking parrot. He takes another step forward and I back away. But he angles it so that I know I'm pressed up against the house. I get the urge to run away, but I feel like doing that would only affirm how much this has escalated. There's a change in him as well. Something unfamiliar in his eyes. In his stance. In his voice, even. He leans down to my height. Like playing with fire, huh? You've seen it in his eyes. He's fucking crazy. He pokes me in the chest to emphasize his words. Crazy? Kind of like, you're alright now? Flynn pulls away, straightening his back, but still looking down at me. Yeah? Well, maybe I am. The awkward silence stretches out, seems to go on until... You know what? I think... Chase! Both of our muzzles flick in the direction of Leo's voice. Mine to the right, Leo's to his left. Leo stands there, ears perked forward, though his expression seems neutral. I wonder how long he's been standing there. I can tell Flynn's wondering the same thing. Any sign of him? No. I slide out from under Flynn, making my way towards Leo. I checked the back, but I didn't see him anywhere. Leo doesn't even look at me, staring over the top of my head. I look and see Flynn staring right back, his shoulders tensed. That's when I feel Leo's heavy, strong arm drape over my shoulders. Flynn's eyes narrow. Let's get back inside, then. As Leo leads me away, I get the feeling that he's still staring Flynn down, even though I don't look up to check. I'm getting worried. No shit. Carl doesn't just disappear from his house like this. He doesn't have anywhere to go. Calm down. He could be anywhere. He has more friends than just us. The fact that he isn't answering his phone is kind of fucking suspicious. Leo holds up his paws. You know he forgets to charge his phone sometimes. Flynn's getting more and more frustrated, starting to pace around the living room. He never goes out with other friends. That's the problem. Listen, maybe we should just wait. Y'all can wait here. I'm gonna find him. Flynn makes for the door before anyone can say anything. It's slamming shut behind him. We sit in silence for a while, staring at the door that Flynn just took off through. Leo lets his breath out in a long sigh, rubbing his face. Alright, let's think. Where else does Carl have to go? The comic book shop? Leo looks at me for a second. Maybe if someone else gave him a ride, but like Flynn said, does he have anyone else to do that for him? Well, if you guys are gonna do that, then I'll probably stay here in case he comes back. Yeah, and we can keep looking. Sounds good. We know he's in the basement, but that's meta-knowledge. You can't use meta-knowledge. Leo pulls his keys out of his pocket and then looks back at me. Coming with me, Chase? Yeah. Follow Leo out the door, actually starting to feel worried about Carl. We walk around the mall for about an hour, checking the food court every shop we pass. It's clear that this idea was pretty hopeless from the beginning. Jenna lets us know that Carl hasn't shown up at the house either, and that they're heading back to the motel. Finally, Leo and I call it quits and head back to his house before walking to the diner for dinner. No one checked the crawl space, I guess? You'd think that they would check all the rooms, but I guess not. So where do you think he went? Leo's hunched over, an elbow on the table and his chin on his paw, staring out the window. Dunno. You think we should call someone? Like the cops? Not yet. He's an adult, so they won't really look into it until it's been days. We should probably call his parents, though, if he doesn't show up by tonight. I don't say anything, stirring my milkshake around. I glance back towards the kitchen area, watching a very tired-looking Janice gather up plates before taking them to the back. I was pretty much mortified when I realized she was here and about to take our order, mostly because I was embarrassed for her. She didn't really say anything, though, just took her order and left. I examined my milkshake closely, though for what, I'm not sure. I'm not too worried, though. He's been under a lot of stress and probably just wanted to leave town for a while. But who would he do that with, and why wouldn't he tell us? Leo sips on his milkshake, and I wait for him to finish. I guess things really have changed. Yeah? I rest my chin in my palm, meeting his eyes so he knows I'm listening. I mean, the way Flynn was acting all day, he really can't stand us anymore. Carl probably just feels the same way. I don't think so. Flynn's usually been that way, right? Not like that. Like the way he was talking to you earlier. So he did here. Guess you're right. I should have just left shit alone. We all used to fit together so well, but now we've all changed, and it's like we're bending ourselves to fit again. Fit again. Fuck! I guess that's just life, right? Leo grunts and keeps staring out the window. It's clear how much he wanted this all to work out, to give us the opportunity for one last hurrah before we separated for good. And now I'm actually pretty angry at myself, and the others. This is our last chance to really say our goodbyes, and it's like we don't care at all. Jenna and TJ are off doing their own thing. Carl's getting lost and probably high. And Flynn's being Flynn. I lean forward, then grinning. You know, I'm really happy you planned all of this. Slowly, Leo shifts his attention from the sunset to my face. I smile widely for him. This is the most fun I've had all year, even though everyone's acting like a dick. I dip my head self-consciously, including me. I know this whole thing has reminded me a lot of the good things in this town. And even though things have been kind of shitty, I think it's a good note to leave off on. Leo raises his brows. Because weren't things always shitty? It's a part of the experience. Leo stares at me for a long time and I feel my grin start to fade. But then he reaches forward and rubs a thumb up my nose. I blink in surprise and he shows me the smear of white on his thumb pad. Sorry, it was hard to take you seriously looking like a cokehead. What the fuck? He grins and licks the thumb. I blush and grab a napkin to wipe my face, but Leo rests a paw on my arm. But seriously, thanks for trying, at least. Leo looks like he's about to say something else, hesitates, and opens his muzzle again. Cute. Leo and I look up to find a lanky, patchy, ugly, ring-tailed cat staring at us with a beady black eyes. I don't know if you knew, but there's a lot of other people in here trying to enjoy their meal. Clint puts a paw down on the edge of the table, leaning in. Could you try not to ruin it for us? He grins at me, showing me just how many teeth he's missing. Guess he graduated from huffing paint since the last time I saw him. The hell are you doing here, Chase? Didn't you dump his fat ass? Fat? He's not fat. I grimace. I can't tell if he's joking or not, or if he's still the same asshole that I remember him as. I haven't talked to him in years. Well, it kinda looks like you dumped your own ass, Clint. What happened to you? You can see Clint's brain work as he digests what I said, deciding whether or not he should be offended. I can also see his tail twitching behind him, and it's patchy too, leaving some parts of it bald, like a rat's tail. Actually, Clint, you're right. We're all trying to eat, but there's some smelly, ugly, ring-tailed skeleton ruining it for us. Clint flicks his tail on Clint flicks his attention from me to Leo, who smiles sweetly at him. Mind do us an all a favor and getting the fuck out. Clint leans in low to the table, putting his face up next to Leo's. Leo keeps a straight face, and I'm impressed because I can smell the stench off Clint's breath even from here. Think you're funny? Oh, god damn, no. That's a hell of a way to respond to racism. If you're trying to make me mad, you might as well do it right, huh? Christ. Leo takes a sip from his milkshake nonchalantly while Clint gapes at him. His brain, which I imagine is Swiss cheese at this point, tries to come up with some sort of retort. Go fuck yourself. Yeah, well, I'll tell you to do the same, but you probably got a sister at home, don't you? Clint moves fast, swinging a fist around towards Leo's jaw. Leo's ready for him and lunges to the side, though his fist still glances the side of his face. He grabs Clint's arm and yanks him down onto the table, which knocks over my milkshake, sending it splashing out of my lap. Well, fuck him. I gasp and stand up and move to the side of the table while Leo starts to rub Clint's face into the mess, smashing it into his table a few times. Stop it! I jump as Janice shouts right next to me. Leo hears her too and turns around while still holding Clint down. The dead look is still in her eyes, and the fur on her face is matted like she's been crying a lot and hasn't washed since. I'm not gonna deal with this today, Leo! You know Clint started it. Leo's ears are flat as he looks back at Janice, clearly thrown off. Underneath him, Clint snarls and thrashes. Am I gonna have to get the taser from the back? Slowly, Leo backs off of Clint, who immediately shoves himself off the table. You can see Leo prepare himself in case Clint takes another swing, but he doesn't even look at him. His already dirty tank top smeared brown from the milkshake, he stumbles to the door and disappears outside. And clean up that fucking mess before you leave. With that, the old coyote turns and stalks off to the back. She leaves me and Leo to stare at each other before we ruefully wipe up the spilled milkshake with brown napkins. There are only two other patrons in the diner with us, a skunk and a jackrabbit. I can feel their eyes on us the whole time, and it only adds to the embarrassment. What do you think her problem is? I ask Leo under my breath as we come back from tossing the ball of wet napkins to the trash can. He just shrugs, though, as I follow him quietly out of the diner and into the late afternoon light outside. We walk in silence for a while, with me walking awkwardly because my soaked and sticky pants are incredibly uncomfortable on my thighs. We stop at the motel where I change and shower before grabbing a fresh change of clothes, and then we start back out again. I think about staying behind at the motel, but I feel like that would be a dick move after what Leo's been through today. As we walk back, Leo takes a detour, stopping at the convenience store. The fight has made things a little awkward between us, so I just shove my paws into my pockets and follow Leo. We go to the back where he grabs a 12-pack. He doesn't say anything to me either as he makes his way to the front to pay. Finally, when we're back outside, he nudges me in the direction behind the convenience store. Let's sit. I lead the way because we've both done this dozens of times before. We step off the asphalt down a little ways into the brush where Leo pulls me up onto a boulder. Leo sighs, pulling out the first beer bottle. Leaning back, he pulls out his keys to use the bottle opener on the keychain before handing it over to me. He does the same thing for himself, and practically chugs the whole thing before grabbing another even before I'm able to take my first swig. I don't comment on it, instead look out at the sunset, thinking about how nice it would be to just sort of run off into the wilderness. At least for a little while. I lean back and sigh, noticing a white and brown splotch on the knee of Leo's jeans. What you said to Clint, that was pretty mean. He said some pretty mean stuff too, and it's not like I like saying that shit to him. Seeing me lying back, Leo shifts closer to me, allowing me to rest my head against his thigh. Interesting placement. Again, the familiar position probably isn't a good idea, but I just don't care. So does Clint still live with his dad? No, he went to prison 2 years ago. Really? Because of... yeah. Shit. We sit in silence, enjoying our quiet surroundings. As I lay there, I hear Leo open another bottle, and then another. Finally lets out a big sigh. Chase, come back to Echo. I close my eyes, turning my vision blood red against the sunset. Maybe. Just not yet. He doesn't press the issue, instead reaching out for another bottle. By the time I get to my second one, the rest are gone. As we walk back to Leo's house in silence, he occasionally brushes his tail against my own. I let him. He's mildly drunk, so he's sort of excused for now. I disagree with that. I do have to push his muzzle away when he leans up against me for some support after his feet hit a sudden dip in the road. I'm busy trying to steady him when I hear footsteps pounding up behind us. Before I know it, Leo shoved me hard to the side and I go stumbling into the weeds. Rolling around, I see a dark figure running off to the side of Leo. His attack aborted as he saw the wolf had seen him. He comes back around and I immediately see that it's Clint. Oh, fuck, he's got a crowbar. My stomach drops as I look from him to Leo, who's got a giant smile on his face, like this is exactly what he wanted to happen. The hell? Come back for more, Clint. Clint doesn't say anything. Instead, he just screams and runs at Leo again. Usually I wouldn't be worried about Leo in a fight with Clint, but the crowbar and the fact that Leo can barely stand has me really worried. Leo backpedals, then ducks low and lunges forward, which I don't think Clint expects. His grunt is guttural, but to my surprise, he doesn't go down. Instead, he grips the back of Leo's shirt before raising the crowbar and bringing it down hard onto... Jesus! I gasp and cringe, starting to jog towards them. Clint presses forward and Leo trips over something, landing on his butt. Clint raises the crowbar again, but Leo raises a paw. For about 2 seconds, they play a game with Leo moving his paws around above his head, anticipating the swing. Clint, meanwhile, keeps trying to re-angle the crowbar so that Leo will miss. Doesn't get a chance, though, because that's when I reach them. I'm not exactly a good fighter, considering I've never been in a fight before, but the idea of letting Leo get his face beaten in with a crowbar provides me with the terror that spurs me on. I jump on his back, grabbing a fistful of fur on his forehead, and yank back as hard as I can. I guess you should have hit him or something, but it seems to work alright. His remaining teeth flash in the porch light, and I get a hot blast of his rancid breath as he snarls angrily. Suddenly, I'm sitting down on the asphalt, feeling like my forehead has just been caved in. Oh, fuck. He must have somehow swung the crowbar back and hit me. I desperately rub in my head, imagining the skull shattered into a million pieces like an egg, but everything feels like it's still in shape. The fight's still going on, and now I can hear Leo snarling. It's not a sound I've heard that often, but it's deep and way scarier than anything Clint would have imagined. I try to focus on the spot that I see their bodies tangled together. And I see that Clint's on top again, with the crowbar raised, pointy and down, aimed at Leo's face. I start to crawl back towards it, but there's no way I'm gonna make it. Oh. Again, the sound of something hard striking flesh, but this time it isn't Clint hitting Leo. It's Clint that hisses in pain, this time as he arches back, baring his fangs. There's a dark shape behind them, but before I can focus on it, Leo's massive paw smashes into the side of Clint's face. Leo's not playing this time. In fact, it looks like he put everything he had into that punch, and the sound it makes is a slab of beef. It's like a slab of beef being thrown against concrete. Clint's body visibly goes slack before he slumps down against Leo, only to be shoved roughly to the side. I crawl up next to the wolf, and he looks over at me as I do. His paw immediately goes to my head, and I steady it as he looks closer at my face. Fuck, did he hit you? That's when I realize I have a massive headache, and it feels like it's full of water. I rub a spot that itches a bit right above my eyebrow, and my pads come back slightly dark and bloody. Fucking piece of shit! Leo sends a back fist into the side of the downed Clint's face. Oh, Kudzu. Oh, it's Cud! What the fuck was this? Hey, that's enough, Leo! That's when I remember that it was someone else that actually saved Leo. The voice is familiar, but it isn't until I look up at the source that I recognize Kudzu. He's breathing hard and he's holding the crowbar that Clint dropped. Dark spots around his eyes blend in with the night and accentuate how wide his actual eyes are. He looks spooked. The hell you guys doing? He sounds pissed and I feel a little defensive. Hey, he tried to run up on us. Kudzu's eyes flick over and look at me before focusing back on Leo. I thought we had this shit figured out. Why the hell are you fighting again? I don't really get why this Kudzu guy's freaking out so much. His nostrils flare with each breath. You'd think he was the one that almost got his brains... You'd think he was the one who almost got his brains run through with a crowbar. Calm the fuck down. You know how Clint is. He wouldn't do half the crap he does if you didn't antagonize him so much. You say he was a bully, but from what I've seen, it's the reverse. Oh, shit. It's hard to think of Leo as a bully, but the way he acted towards Clint in the diner was a bit much, even if it was Clint. Hey, if he can't take it, then maybe he shouldn't dish it, huh? Leo grins and sticks out a paw at Kudzu, who glares, but nevertheless reaches down to help him up. Leo promptly pulls me up with him. As I get to my feet, I feel a wave of dizziness instantly hit me as I stumble into Leo. Fuck, see? Leo steadies me and looks into my eyes, worry etched all over his face. I'm fine, just got dizzy for a sec. That's not fine. Do you feel sick? Can you see straight? Seriously, I'm fine. Just give me a minute. I don't know what that word is. Gonna kill that... Oh, Jesus. At that moment, Clint makes a snorting sound and starts to roll over. His eyes flash to where he's laying, but Kudzu steps between the two, still glaring. No! Get the fuck back home and take care of the otter. I'm gonna see that I can keep him from trying to kill you later on down the road. Fat chance. He's been wanting to kill me since middle school. Clint starts to sit up, supporting himself with both paws as he looks around. Go! Whatever. Leo turns back to me, and his eyes soften as he puts an arm around my shoulders. Come on, we might need to go to the hospital. I'm fine, really. The low tones of Kudzu's voice murmuring to Clint fades off as we stumble into the night. No, you're not fine. He hit you fucking hard. God damn, that fucking idiot. He could have killed you. I put a paw back to the sore on my forehead and rub at it. Leo grabs my wrist. Don't do that. You'll infect it. We'll clean it up back in my place. God, I'm not gonna leave my house without my gun again. Oh God. So Leo's face takes an odd look. One sec. He makes as if to steady me with both paws and stumbles off to the side of the road. It's dark and I can't see him, but I sure as hell can hear a retch followed by a splash. This happens about 3 more times before Leo shakily, but more steadily, approaches me from the darkness, a sheepish grin on his face. You okay? Yeah, just had a little too much. Really? Leo I knew would have downed 15 cans and still walk. Hey, rolling around with a crazy long tail, sitting on you won't do your gut any favors. Sure. Leo chuckles and wraps an arm around me again, though this one feels a little more intimate rather than just being there to keep me steady. We walk in silence for a while, just enjoying the evening air. The temperature is always perfect here when the sun's gone. It gets me more annoyed, though, because I imagine we'd be having a much better time if Clint hadn't just tried to murder us. At least that's what I imagine he was trying to do, since hitting someone with a crowbar isn't exactly fucking around. Has it really gotten this bad between you and Clint? Leo squeezes me. It's always been this way. It looked like he was trying to kill you. Well, that gringo really hates me. Leo laughs, then falls silent for a while, ears pinned back. Guess he was angrier than usual. I think it's just that I might have pissed him off more than I usually do. I look up at him. About that. What you said back to him, said to him back at the diner was really awful. You too? How can he expect not to get hit with that if he's gonna go out and call me, yeah, all that stuff? Leo barks out a laugh.
Talk shit, get hit, I always say.
I don't know, man. What his dad did is different. It's not his fault, you know.
Hey, he might be fucked up, but he can still make the decision to be a complete dick to everyone, can't he?
I wish Jenna were here to help back me up on how that isn't exactly fair to Clint. Anyway, I think he was onto something. Did you see how crazy... Or he was on something. Did you see how crazy he looked?
He's always on something. And speaking of which...
Leo steps slow, and I look forward to seeing an isolated house further up the road. Porch light is on, and I see a skinny figure get out of a chair and start walking up to the front yard. It's clear he means to intercept us, and I slow down with Leo as he draws closer.
Duke.
Leo nods at him. The skinny weasel looks us both up and down, raising a paw to pull a drag from what looks like a cigar. I assume that's actually a blunt because it smells like Carl. He's as patchy and unhealthy looking as I remember him. Not as torn up as Clint, but still bad enough to know he's done his fair share of dabbling in meth. He doesn't say anything, and after a while Leo clears his throat.
Isn't it a nice...
He's here. As Duke cuts Leo off, he's staring right at me, so I assume it's me he's talking about. Hi, Duke. I probably couldn't have said it any more awkwardly. Leo steps forward, partially in front of me.
Did you need something?
Duke lets out a long stream of smoke towards us. Definitely a blunt.
Same shit's been happening to me after you told me about it.
What?
Hmm?
Leo looks at him, looking politely puzzled, though I can see his tail twitching behind him.
You've been seeing shit, now I've been seeing shit.
It's quiet for a few seconds, then Leo laughs.
Well, maybe lay off the drug cocktails. No, it's different. The shit I see almost real. I saw him.
He nods at me again, and for some reason I'm starting to feel really uncomfortable.
For some reason.
Leo laughs, and this time it's much more forced. He starts pushing me along further up the street.
Sorry, Duke, but Chase is taken. Janice is still single, though.
Duke follows us, walking along the dirt while we stay on the asphalt.
When did he get here?
Leo doesn't say anything and keeps pushing me along. I can see Duke getting angry, and I don't want another fight, so I finally butt in. I got here on Saturday. Is something wrong, Duke? Duke doesn't answer. He just stops and watches us go, a frown stretch across his face. I keep looking over my shoulder at him, but he doesn't move. He doesn't take his eyes off of us.
What the fuck? Stop looking at him, Chase.
What was he talking about?
Doesn't matter, just keep moving and hope we don't run into any more of these psychos.
I managed not to look back again, but I feel his eyes on the back of my neck the entire time. Yeah, that's the music you should play right now. Even though the instructions say only to take 2, Leo gives me 3 generic acetaminophen pills. After that, he takes me to the bathroom and starts cleaning the cut on my forehead. I grimace against the sting of the rubbing alcohol.
We really should take you to the ER. This might even need stitches.
Lean my head into his paws because not having to hold it up myself feels good. No, it's not that bad. Besides, even if it is a concussion, they'll just send me home and tell me to get some rest. Along with a $500 bill. God damn, you speaking the truth right now. I got almost knocked the fuck out at when I used to work at, I guess I shouldn't say the name of the place, at a thrift store that's very popular. It's not Badwill. But yeah, I got hit in the fucking head by a trunk. Someone opened it and fucking they were like pulled it up, and I was in this crack, and it was my first time riding in an ambulance. They took me to the local hospital, and they treated me like absolute dog shit. And I will never go back to that hospital. Never. No. Not happening. Fuck that place.
I played football, I know, but you never know how serious it could be.
I sigh and don't say anything, deciding it would be easier to just not to argue. Leo starts to debate whether or not to shave the fur, but I finally get annoyed and tell him to get on with it. As he prods around, I can feel the area around the cut swelling, and I wonder if I'm going to get a black eye. Leo finally steps back and starts putting everything back into the first aid kit. Wait.
Hmm?
Leo glances at me questioningly. Aren't you hurt? He thinks for a second.
I don't think so. I feel fine, I mean.
Turn around. I'd seen Clint hit Leo with a crowbar, and he'd hit him hard. Leo sighs before finally turning around, placing his paws on the sink as he stares into the mirror. Look at his back. The black shirt dusty from the dirt he had been rolled around in. Carefully, I lift the shirt back. It's not as bad as I thought it would be. I could see the raised fur from the growing welt where the crowbar had hit, though. There aren't any cuts there, but I do see some spots of dried blood. Then there were cuts! You have a bunch of little cuts. I see the smooth muscles under Leo's fur shift as he flexes them. Of course he does.
Really? Must have been from the rocks in the road. I think my shirt came up a little while we were wrestling around.
Maybe the alcohol. Leo sighs again, but hands it over. And take off your shirt. Leo, he smirks at that and slowly, purposely, sensually strips his shirt off. I try to ignore him, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't turned on by his body. It's been a long time since I last saw him shirtless, and he's kind of changed. He's thicker, broader in the shoulders and chest, the muscles smoother and a little more filled out. I swallow and start to dab the alcohol under the cuts. He makes no indication of feeling any pain, instead switching his tail around and flicking it up between my legs. God damn it. Again, I don't know why, but Leo has a way of making you want to play along, even if you know it's a bad idea. Because he's a sociopath. Not a sociopath. It would be. He's just like, he's fucking crazy. He's been flirting with me this whole time, so I guess he's sort of just broken down my defenses. That's fucking on the nose, bro. Just saying, you've been feeling bad for him, came to his defense when he was being attacked, and you're defending him, and letting him get away with shit that you don't want him to do. It is... and he keeps trying to get you to come back. And at first you were like, hell no, and now you're like, maybe. I'm just saying, this is all on purpose. Once I finish the rubbing in the alcohol, I let a paw linger on Leo's hip. We both stay like that for a while until Leo finally turns around, leaning back against the sink. I look over his form, his broad chest down to his thick stomach.
Like what you see?
When I look back up at him, his brows are raised, and before I can say anything, he's leaning down. I think he's about to kiss me, so I turn my head to the side, but instead he just nuzzles the side of my head as he brings me in for a hug. I freeze for a second, but relax into his hold after a while, enjoying the feel of his warm fur against mine. He doesn't say anything, just holds me. I can feel his excitement through his pants as he presses into me and starts nibbling at my ear. I gasp as he catches it between his teeth and I almost moan. He, of course, knows I have sensitive ears. He moans a little in response, and before I know it, he's pulling me up against him. Then he lifts me off the ground and spins me around and sits me up on the sink. Oh, fuck. Oh, Lord. Well, this isn't explicit, so I can show it. My head throbs again, and I think I'm about to fall. But he holds on to me before he begins digging his muzzle in my neck, kissing and licking. Oh, Jesus. Jesus. This is starting to get lewd. Oh, Jesus, Christian channel, save me. I gasp and hug around his body, pulling him closer as he licks and nips. Leaning my throat back, I expose more of my neck to him, closing my eyes as the back of my head presses against the mirror. Leo growls, his paw sliding up under my shirt, feeling up my stomach before moving under my chest. Fucking hell. He moans it, sounding like he just scratched an unreachable itch, like he had just had his first drink of water in days. Leo! I gasp about to tell him to stop, then I feel his tongue burrows in past my fur to lick the skin, and my eyes roll. He pulls back finally and lowers my gaze to meet his. His tongue is hanging out, making him look a little goofy. I can see a few of my short brown hairs on his tongue. Ew! He starts to lean in again, but this time I don't turn my head away. As he almost reaches me, his eyes suddenly flick to the right, looking over my shoulder, and I see shock cross his expression. Then he jumps and spins around, knocking over the soap dispenser and first aid kit. I jump too. What? He continues to stare, one paw clutching his chest and the other digging into my thigh. I wait for him to finish, but he doesn't go on. Did you see something?
I thought I did. Just seeing things, I guess.
Finally, he turns his attention to the first aid kit and leans over, starting to pick everything back up. Slowly, I slide down from the sink, pushing my shirt back into place, realizing that the moment had passed. While I'm curious as to what he saw, I'm also conscious of the fact that the break in our intimacy had made things awkward again. Should we check the house? It could be Clint.
No, wasn't Clint.
Leo grabs his shirt and pulls it back on before turning to me.
Just seeing things.
I think back to Clint. Well, alright. As we leave the bathroom, Leo looks back in for a moment before flipping the light off. I think it's a little strange that he makes sure to close the door. Leo doesn't make a move on me again that night, instead keeping a good few inches between us on the bed. I can't help but wonder if I did something wrong. What I do know is that I'm kinda disappointed. Thursday! Well, Thursday will be in the next episode. These days are fucking long, dude! But we will do the next day. We will see what Thursday has to bring us in the next episode. So thank y'all very much for watching, and until then, fare thee well. Bye, everybody!